I'm really delighted to be part of your event and contribute some of my experience today. Happy New Year once again to the entire audience. As Ramas already told you, my name is Chris. I'm the shareholder of Barkey in Germany. We are a mid-sized company nowadays with about 65 people in place at the headquarters in Germany, as well nowadays in the United States and as well as in Asia. The company exists for 40 years. We have been dedicating our knowledge only to what we call nowadays thawing out cells, which means you warm blood, you warm plasma, everything around medical equipment, as well as nowadays pharmaceutical products, as well as the latest products, which is in the media, the vaccines. So wherever we have to thaw any frozen product within this industry, this is where we are, we can say, established a gold standard nowadays. This is what we do. 40 years, we are second generation family company. Together with my brother Thomas, I'm leading this company even through these very difficult times. We are trying to really find new ways to fulfill the satisfaction of our customers here. This is what we do, Ramas.
And Chris, I have the company presentation live if you wish to go through with it. It's your comfort. If you wish, we could do that, or we could ask questions and take it forward from here.
Yeah, I see the biggest value in taking questions, Ramas. The presentation is actually a little bit long, so I would prefer not to dive too deep into the presentation right now and keep it very live and interactive with you guys, so that we have the most output instead of have just a presentation. I think everybody can Google my name. I'm happy to connect with all of you on LinkedIn. I have a very strong profile there, so you can see my latest updates and developments of the company if you like to know more about this. And I'm happy also to answer individual questions after this on LinkedIn or other platforms.
That's great, because it's been part of the conference pack that we have shared your profile with individuals, but it's great. So let's go for questions. Like I said, here the audience are on YouTube, and we have a control center where we are receiving the questions, and I will be just as your facilitator asking you the questions, right? So let me get started with that as a process. So I think the first thing is, as a CEO, all of us ask this one question, right? Based on your personal experiences, what does it take to make a company like yours successful?
I started very early. I think this is one of the key factors. Start early and do not change the master plan too much. Of course, you have to adapt to various circumstances in the industry, but Barkey was forever since dedicated to what we do today. And this technology we developed further, but we never changed the general path of our success story. And in order to do so, we started early with a very, very broad expansion plan, means internationalization. So we started distributing our products all over the globe. Nowadays, Ramas, I can assure you, including India. I myself started 15 years ago with a company in Mumbai, and we had a subsidiary in Pune, and nowadays we are covering the whole Indian market. And so the success behind this is a dedication. We try to be the best in what we do, and instead of being some like supermarket in our industry where we call it equipment for hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, we do not want to be so much competitive against big companies, because we don't have not simply the financial power to do so. And so we picked a niche, and the niche we developed in an excellence so that we became known and relevant those clients. And nowadays, all the big companies like Novartis, Kite, GSK, Johnson & Johnson are buying from us because what we deliver is outstanding nowadays after 40 years of is this answering, Ramesh, your question?
It does.
So,
it does.
Ramesh,
Yeah.
Christian, can I add something?
Yes, please, Frank. I mean, this is a discussion. Go ahead.
So I think I can add something because I have known the family and the company Barkey for a long time, and I have been able to see their development, let me say, from an outside perspective. Because Christian, we knew us 20 years, I think, since 20 years, so a very, very long time. And I think one of the success stories about Barkey is that they are able to, let me say, change something, to see if they have some development steps. If they do something, they have to change the company. So, for example, the father of Christian and Thomas, he is a founder of the company, and is as Christian and Thomas come in the company. So it's changed a lot of things. Christian developed the international market, and I think it was a major step for the success of Barkey. So to see that now is the right time to change something. This was one of your success stories, and it's great. It's a fantastic history of the company.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to ask you another question, which is considered tricky, right? Most of our members here and our clients here are second generation, third generation entrepreneurs, right? Even in India, business have continued for a long while. So in a company that is 40 years old, when you sort of go through successive transitions and you have people who are coming in, youngsters getting started, and there is senior employees in the company, there is shareholders who are senior. How do you manage the generational transition, right? What's been your experience? I can see Frank smiling, so he can add on to all of this later.
So this
Ramesh,
is a very good question.
This is the best question. This is the best question ever. I tell you, my brother and me, we are totally different. My brother is very conservative. He is, we call him the legacy, and he don't want to change. He just want to take care. A very, very slight development is fine, but big changes is not his master. And for me, I'm looking always for new challenges. I love changes, and I love also big changes. And because I always believe that even in the pandemic circumstances we are in right now, there lies so much more possibilities, opportunities for us instead of bad. This is bad because we are not used to. And to answer your question, we always got younger and younger people on board. We try to really energize the company with young and new-minded personalities and characters. Sorry, Frank?
Sorry, fresh-minded.
Frank,
so
did
I
you add something?
Sorry for
fresh-minded. Yes,
you.
Fresh-minded. And really, I just can tell you, don't just continue the path you walked. Just always try to be open to new ideas, even though they feel awkward to you in the first time, because we like to just continue and let's say write forward our stories like they are today. But I see such more and more possibilities and opportunities for each individual and for yourself in order to take on those challenges and changes.
That's great. With your permission, can I ask you a tougher question?
Absolutely. You're most welcome.
And you can say no if you wish to. Okay. Yeah. It's like when, especially again, I'm seeing this always, right? A lot of our members are multiple, brothers who are very different. And in India, we have large families. So cousins are into the business as well. It's a norm, family managed business. So when there is a point of debate or when there is a point of disagreement, how do you guys handle it? What is the best way in which you deal with it?
I'm talking very freely now, Ramesh. Family companies there's a huge advantage of, let's say, short ways or short communication ways in between. That is definitely an advantage. The disadvantage is the own dynamics which might develop between family members, and everyone is different and has different objectives. So this can be really a challenge, and a challenge for the company. The challenge could be the company could be very healthy financially, but the company is almost gone if you do not have an alliance compliance in between those shareholders. So what we experienced as well, that you need to remain an openness for third-party consultation in terms of smoothing sometimes individual goals towards or versus company goals. And this is sometimes difficult, and I call it role understanding or the role communication. When I enter the company, who I am, I'm the shareholder or I'm the CEO. Towards my brother, I'm having 3 roles: shareholder, CEO, and brother. And you have to be very, very, let's say, clear and awake about who you are right now in terms of understand the message right. If I'm talking as a younger brother to the older brother, you can easily imagine how this feels when I have maybe even the better idea. So you really need to be open, I think, to third-party advice. Frank knows the company as well, and was for a time as well our consultant for the company in order to actually harmonize and balance ideas between my brother and me. And in our particular case, we have a third CEO, which is non-family member, which makes it even more difficult sometimes. But we gone through this with third-party consultation and take the best of the best. It is worth the money because you secure not only the moment, you secure the future of your company.
That's great. I mean, I can understand how you deal with conflicts, because here is a tough question and you answered it, I must say, quite brilliantly. A couple of points I took away personally is this role definition. I think this whole idea of in your mind deciding who you are before you approach a communication is a big takeaway for me personally. I think that's a good thing we can adopt not only in family managed businesses, anywhere else. I think, who are we? Because we all as entrepreneurs wear multiple hats. Yeah, a couple of other questions have come up for you, but I'm going to give you a breather and I'm going to ask Frank a couple of questions, right? Because there are a couple of questions for him as well. Frank, as a person who is involved with the SMEs and with TAB in general, many of us are just curious to know, looking at Germany in particular and Europe in a broader sense, how have the SMEs coped up in these difficult situations, and what are the specific challenges that we see with SMEs at a slightly broader level, and what lessons can there be?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. I hope I can answer this question, Ramesh. So what I think is, or what we did, we tried to divide define 3 types of business owners in this pandemic. First is the winners. So these companies have enormous growth due to the crisis. So companies like online trading company. And I don't know, Chris, I think you are also a little bit a winner of this crisis, because the medical devices, I think this is it's a good situation regarding the pandemic. And we have also, isn't it, Chris? Yes.
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. It's so-called critical infrastructure. We are securing critical infrastructure with our medical equipment. So that was true what Frank just said.
Yeah. And the second group is, so these are companies who are affected from the crisis. These companies have, let me say, they have some limitation, but they will survive. And the good business owners from this part of these section, they are very open. They have a very open mindset, a little bit like Kristen describes. They have fresh mind. They know that in a short time or longer time, after the crisis, they have this chance to grow their business. And they discuss it now. What we heard from our members is that they, in a very, very early stage, they discuss what's happened after the crisis. And then we have the last group, they are the losers. And these companies, they will probably not survive because the crisis, they are so strong affected from these crises and they have a huge problems. But what I heard from some of my TBOs, business owners who facilitate a lot of boards with members in Germany, some of these guys told me they have company who are the losers of this situation, but they are very, very positive because they can change their business or they can destroy the business and start a new business because they see a lot of opportunities. And this is what I'm seeing. And the good thing in Germany is we get a lot subventions from the government. The government, from my perspective, make a very good job in terms of supporting companies in Germany in this very difficult time. Ramesh, you are mute.
You're mute.
Great. Okay. Thanks. So you can be on Zoom for ages and still do this mistake, right? I mean, it's just there. Thanks for pointing out. Yeah, I'm just interesting because what you say this is because we keep saying this a lot of time, but still, you know, businesses and business owners are pretty similar in various cultures and countries, right? They may be different in so many different ways, but you know, we on our monthly calls also figure out that while they're different in some senses, they are absolutely the same anywhere, right? Facing the same challenge.
They're human beings, Ramesh. And what I learned in the TAP business, so we have business in 20 countries worldwide, is what I heard from the colleagues, you as well, is the similar situations about the business owners. So,
yep. So this question is to you, Frank, and then Chris is open to answer it as well. So and this is as a person and as a CEO yourself and as a TAP business owner, if there were one or two trends that you see that we've learned from the last year, which will continue, right? Which means, hey, we all thought at one time that the pandemic will disappear and life will be back to normal. But now I think things have been like this for a while. So in your opinion, is there one or two things that you believe are business trends that are going to stay and something that we can leverage?
Yeah, this is a very good question. So my feeling about that is something will change in part of how, let me say, for example, how can we acquire employees for our company? So a lot of companies having, during the pandemic, a lot of experience with home working places, working outside, and this changed a little bit some markets in Germany. And another trend I see is that we will coming back to produce more things in our country. So what we learned is that we have some supply bottlenecks in some markets. And what I heard is, and what I read in the newspaper is that something coming back to Germany because we learned this is an let me say it's a difficult situation, and we will come back. This is what I think. Chris, could you add something about that?
Yeah, Ramesh and Frank, I want to echo here as well. First of all, Germany is known for its tradition, and we haven't been used to home office, and home office is pretty much established, and this is some trend which 100% will continue, even though we let's say regained the normality a little bit more than what we used to. This is what I definitely emphasize. I would also believe that there's a huge difference for those who have been established already, let's say decades, and for startups. Startups, what I saw, were struggling much more than established companies, and I believe the way how you start businesses today is completely different than what it was 50 years ago. So networking, combined with this home office, remote working, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. I'm currently broadcasting from Iceland because I'm on a project here on Iceland, and you're sitting in India, Frank is sitting somewhere in Germany, and this shows what kind of trend is coming up. You don't know where I am, but I can actually hook on this meeting from anywhere in the world. And this flexibility will definitely be big in terms of also health-wise, traveling all over the globe. I did it 20 years intensively. It's not healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So one more question from the audience for you, Chris, because the one thing I asked you for is about family transition, right? The second question is equally on your resume, is about your ability to take the company global. So the second question to you is, what are the challenges that you face when you're dealing with competition and entry, when you're looking at such diverse cultures in a global environment, right? What's your experience with globalization and dealing with competition?
Do you mean the internationalization itself, or do you look at the product?
Internationalization, not the product. It is the internationalization experience as a CEO, the experience of internationalization.
Yeah. You know, I did it myself, and we had, let's say, two person to choose from. One was very much loved to stay in Germany, and I was always had the feeling that I need to go somewhere else beside Germany. And if you do so, you need somebody with a super open mentality and characteristics in order to being adaptive to all those different cultures. You know, when we say, hey, Germans are known for this and that, then I traveled for my, let's say, more than 20 years ago, I traveled the first time to Malaysia, and that was so different from where I came from. And this was my very far east first country, that I can say this depends on the success of this story depends a lot on the personality you send out. And it is not necessary to take a local or an Asian to be in Asia successful. It requires a lot of openness to being open to all those cultural differences, and not being, some Germans, they're traveling to countries and say, hey, we do everything right, and what's happening in all other countries is not right. And I think this is something you should be fully aware of, that you say everyone is right. I mean, you see this on religion, politics. It's not me judging this. It is the my openness and my let's say my and being empathic to all those people in order to be successful. It is a long story. You see that I'm also really getting emotional on this, because I did this really from the scratch 20 years ago with zero sales in those countries, and nowadays we have a fully established business in 60 countries.
Amazing, Chris. I mean, I don't know, anybody cannot add any more value to what you said, but I must take a connection because you are speaking to an Indian audience, right? What you said last is as spiritual as it ever gets, right? Especially today, I know this is a sensitive topic, but we are friends here among all our colleagues. So I have nothing to say that today we are confusing a lot of religion, politics, differentiations in a lot of negative way, right? Just from your experience, if I take that one sentence that everyone is right, I'm telling you that's an unbelievable, kind of a tagline or a mantra, if you will. It just can't be better. So it's as spiritual as it gets. And yes, it is emotional, because I think today more than ever, I think all are right is important. And to that extent, I think both you and Frank just being on this call, sensitizing us to what it means to look for businesses. And very, very glad to know that you are in India. So I'm going to look forward to catching up with you, and any kind of support, absolutely any kind of support that you need in India, Chris, you know whom to reach. Frank, me, and all of us at TAB are going to be available to help you, right? And we're there. So it is difficult in going to the country, but we will be there, and absolutely. So Frank, any closing words? I know we're sort of on the dot here on time. And so any closing comments, Frank, my friend?
Yeah, thank you very much, Christian, for taking the time together with us here in the TAP environment. And Ramesh, thank you very much to you to invite us both. It was very, very nice to joining your member conference, and hopefully you have a very, very good rest of the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Frank, Ramesh. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you so much.